Hello everyone, welcome to the Python series. On Friday we had a quick half an hour session where I told you how to set up Python and how to set up Jupyter notebooks for the purpose of this session, right? Now today onwards, every Monday we are going to be talking about Python. So starting with the very basics, like today we are going to talk about variables and operators. So we will be working on numbers today, just to make it simple, just to crack down few principles of how Python language works, what are the few fundamentals of Python that you should focus on to write a Pythonic code. So for those of you who are new to programming, we've just started. Python is a very fairly simple and easy language to learn, which you will get to know once you are with me in these sessions. 1 or 2 sessions would be enough. For those of you who have learned Java or C or C++ or say any other programming language before this, Python programming style is a little bit different from what you would have seen so far, which is very easy to adapt to, so you don't have to worry about that, but focus on writing clean, simple, as you call it, Pythonic code, right? So we'll give you tips along the way of how it is done, what should you focus on. And before I start off the session today, I'll show you a quick document that is called the Zen of Python, that summarizes all the principles Python language is basically based on. Correct? So let's jump into the session. Let me see who all have joined. Hi Dinesh, Python plus Jupyter notebook setup, great. And hi Kedar, you have just asked me a pointer related question. All right, I'll take this up in another session where I'm going to be doing this. Hi Prashant, cool. So let's start now. As you all know, we set up the Jupyter notebooks. So to start, what you have to do is just go to your command prompts and type Jupyter space notebook. Now that will open a window like this on your browser. Correct? This is what shows you all that is there on your all the directories, and if there is any .ipynb file. In my case I have one right at the bottom, untitled.ipynb. This is the extension for a Jupyter file, okay, .ipynb. Now, okay, before I start, let me wait a minute or two for everyone else to join. Prashant, I am good. I hope you are too doing well. Hi Jai Prakash, hi Sai Krishna, hi Prasad. Hi Hemant, good things only, that's an interesting name. Hi Satya, hi Monica. Cool. So I'm assuming all of you have your desktops where you're watching this, or if you're watching on the phone, you have your desktop by your side to maybe simultaneously go ahead and do this programming with me. Or if not that, I would recommend you whenever you are done with the session, just go back and practice immediately, see how Python feels like when you are actually typing the code and executing it, right? Better idea would be you have your systems by your side when we are working on this, so that we can together work on it and you can give me the output of whatever we are doing together, right? So let's start. All right, so let's go to this. So you make a folder. Let's say I have created this Python live YouTube sessions. Just click on it, right? So we saw the setup thing last is what we created 3 days ago. Now let's create a new one. Okay, quickly change the name, operators and variables. Now for the first few sessions, I'm going to be preparing these notebooks right here in front of you, and later when we are kind of well versed with the basic operation of how to use Jupyter Notebook. I'm gonna be making this prior hand and then sharing them with you. Okay, so that is how you rename, and this is what you call a cell. Alright, you can have multiple cells in your Jupyter Notebook, and each cell, when you run it or execute it, it produces one input cell, produces one output cell, correct? So let's say, let's do a basic operation. Now, what are operators? Operators are simply the constructs which manipulate the operands. So let's say we have two operands, 2 and 4, right? And we use addition operator to work on these two operands, correct? This will give us an output of 6. Now, how do you get the output? One way is you just click on this button here, that is run. It will run the cell that you're on, right? Another way to do it, the shortcut, that is press shift along with enter, and it will execute it. So now this is the first cell you executed, so input 1, and the output that you get after executing the cell is output 1. Fairly simple so far, right? Now, operators are these simple constructs that manipulate the operands. So here our operand is 2 and 4, and operator is plus to give us the output, that is 6 in our case. Now, Python supports arithmetic operators, relational operators, assignment, logical, bitwise, right? Now let me show you one very interesting thing about Jupyter Notebooks. If you don't want this code line here, instead you want to write something, you can mark it as a markdown. Once it is a markdown, the cell, whatever you write here won't be executed as code, it will be simply taken as text, right? So let's just quickly see what all type of operators do we have. So we have arithmetic, we have relational, assignment, logical, then we have bitwise. Now today we'll quickly take a look at each one of these. Okay, so again I just pressed shift enter, it gave me a simple text. Now if you want to again edit it, go back to the cell. Let's say I also want to say at the top type of operators. Cool, then again shift enter. So that's how your markdown work. Now again when you enter next input line, you will get a code input line, and you can add as many input lines as possible with this plus sign. You want to remove it, just delete, click on it, delete. All right, so this is the simple functioning of Jupyter Notebook, and I am hoping that so far everyone is there with me, all of us are on the same page. Okay, Prashant says Jupyter is not recognized as an internal or external command operable. Okay, Prashant, you don't have to type Jupyter to run Jupyter Notebooks. Okay, Markdown, right? First step is go to command prompt. Next step, type. Now you have to type this command, Jupyter space notebook. Not just Jupyter, not just notebook. All right, Jupyter space notebook. For those of you who are not able to get to this dashboard yet, just run these commands and you will be able to enter. All right, cool. So moving on, arithmetic operators. Let's start with the very basic. 3 plus 4, addition arithmetic operator, give you the simple addition output, right? Next, 8 minus 2, 6, again simple subtraction. Now multiplication, let's see. Multiplication is done by the star symbol. So 5 star 2, 10. Now if you are noticing right here, we are not giving any end of the line colon or something. You just have to write your commands without any end of the line indicator, and it just works fine. Like for those of you who have worked on Java or C or any other language, you would know that there is, to mark the end of the line, you say colon, correct? But here, end of the line is automatically interpreted as, there's no explicit token to do that, correct? Cool. So 5 star 2. Now let's see divide. How does divide work? 12 by 4. So this slash symbol is for division. All right. Shift enter. Now division output in Python is always a floating point number. Even if the number is completely divisible, you'll get a floating point number, that is 3.0. All right. Next up, let's take something else. Let's take 19 by 4. 4.75. All right. Now, let's say you don't want the decimal point. How do you do that? You just want the quotient. You don't want to bother yourself with the remainder. 19 double backslash and 4. Now, when you run this, you just get the quotient of the division. Okay. You don't have to, if you have to, let's say, drop the decimal point or don't care about the remainder, you just want the quotient, you do a double backslash. Now again, if you want the remainder, let's say, not the quotient, how do you get that? You say 19 modulo 4. This percentage sign is there to get the remainder. So shift enter, you get 3. Cool. So far so good. Now what else? So we've seen multiplication. Let's say if you want to do this, 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. Okay. What will be the output? Come on, quick simple maths operation. 3. What is the output of this? Pradeep is asking, is the construct specific to language or IDE? Pradeep, the construct is specific to the language. It has nothing to do with the IDE. The IDE is just providing us with these cells, which makes it very easy for us to, read the code, write the code. If you want to make your own reading slides for future, you can just write your notes like this, write your code like this, and it's fairly simple. That is what the IDE is for. Okay. What else? Prakash is asking, what if we do 12 double backslash 4? Check. You should be checking this. Let's do it right here for you. 12 double backslash 4. Shift enter. 3. Right? That's why make it a point that you have your desktop or your laptop, whatever you are working on, where you have done the setup by your side, so that you can simultaneously run your queries and then we can discuss them here, solve your problems. Cool? Yeah, Shogun has also replied, Pradeep. Why double backslash is not considered as a comment in 19 double backslash 4? Okay, Dinesh, that is because in Python, every language has its own construct for giving a comment. So let's say if I want to give a comment here, oops, I have shown you the output. If let's say I want to give a comment here saying, what will be the output of below line of code? Okay, so comments in Python are marked with a hash. This is not comment. Okay, just because it was comment in some other language doesn't mean that same continues here. This here is the division operation that will give you the quotient. For comment, you have hash. Now execute this. you get the output 81, right? Which a few of you have already answered on the chat. Hi Prashant, Vikas, Jay, Prakash have already answered. 81.0. Why? It's not a division. It won't give you a floating point. It's a simple multiplication. If there's no floating point involved, it will not give you a floating point. All right. So now let's say you don't want to do this repetitive process of typing 3 again and again and again, because all you have to do is do a 3 to the power of 4, right? You're multiplying 3 4 times. Now what do you do for that? Just type 3. Now again, let me use a comment again. Alternate exponent method, let's say. Okay, all you have to do is 3 to calculate the power. Let's say 3 to the power 4, you have to calculate 3 star star 4. This will give you 3 to the power of 4, and the output will be 81 again, as we already saw, right? So far so good. Now one more thing. Let's say if you have to give multiple lines of comment, right? You type something, hello, hey, how are you doing? Simple. Just have a hash ready and execute it. There won't be any output for a simple comment input. Okay, only if there is an operation that you have to perform, you will get to see the output. Cool. So basic arithmetic operators out of the way. Now before I jump on to the next one, let me quickly give you another example. Say 8 plus 2 into, what should I say? Let's say 10. What will be the output of this? Eight plus 2 into 10. Simple. All the operators we have seen already. Addition operator, multiplication operator 2 we have used here. What is the output of this simple cell? Arif said 28. Prasad also said 28. Prashant also got 28. Cool. So you got it right, what I'm trying to say here. The simple basic rules of BODMAS apply here as well. Okay, it won't be a left to right like you do 8 plus 2 10 and then 10 into 10 100. It's simple BODMAS rules that you see every day in your normal maths, correct? And 28 is the output. All right. Is there code in Python like system.out.println in Java to print values? Satya, I'll come there in a while when we talk about variables. I'll show you how to print the output in Python. Of course, in any language, print is a very basic thing, so you will have something in Python also to replace the system.out.println of Java. Okay, so that was our arithmetic operators. Now before I move further, let me quickly talk about Zen of Python, which I mentioned in the beginning of the session but slipped off my mind in the excitement of starting the session. So what is Zen of Python? Like I said, it is a simple document that summarizes the underlying principles of the language. Now at any point of time, if you have to check what Zen of Python is, all you have to do is in a cell like this, type import and then say this. Okay, again shortcut shift enter and you get this sweet simple short list of the Zen of Python. Now when you read this, it's a very interesting read. All right, so anything written in Python programming language should be beautiful, as beautiful is better than ugly. Explicit is better than implicit, so don't implicitly think that everything is stated. Mention it explicitly in your code wherever you can. Write as simple code as possible. Alright, don't have to complicate things. But if they are getting complicated, try to settle for complex. Okay? Flat is better than nested, unless and until you can avoid nesting, avoid it. Sparse is better than dense. So all these principles, you can go through them. They make this language very, very simple. Alright, what else? If the implementation is hard to explain, it's a bad idea. Don't do it. Do implementation in a way that it is easy to explain, right? So any point of time you want to check this, and these are the underlying principles which time and again we'll come back to when we are writing code to see that how we are following these. Cool. Now since that is out of the way, what else we had to see? Okay, so type of variables. Arithmetic we have seen. Now before I move on to next, relational, assignment or logical, let's see how we address variables in Python. How do we create variables? So Python is a strongly typed language. Cool. So let's say in Java, when you create a variable, you have to explicitly specify the variable type. Then you have to give the variable name, correct? And then you have to assign the value to the variable. And at any point of time, if the value that you are assigning to the variable doesn't match with the type, it gives an error, right? In Python, however, the simple syntax is, let's see. There is no data type. Since it is a strongly typed data language, you don't specify a data type in advance. All you have to say is name, and based on the value that you assign to the variable name, it automatically creates the variable of that type. By that I mean, if you have to create, let's say, create and store an integer, all you have to do is say marks, let's say we are storing marks, equal to 75. And again, make sure that you are noticing that there is no semicolon at the end of the line. Marks 75, that's it. Your variable marks is created. Now someone asked me how to print. So for print, if you, let's say, want to print this value that is stored in the variable marks, print, then colon and marks. Fairly simple. Shift enter. This gave you the actual value, the string. Let's say marks, since it is a variable, we give it without the quotes. Shift enter and it will give you the value. If you have to say my maths marks in previous test, right? Fairly simple. And marks. Now see, this is how you read an error. Okay, IPython, that is line 5, it clearly shows you that we have an error in line 5. Okay, and what the error is again fairly simple. Cool. So reading an error is also very easy because it clearly tells you which line, where, what is happening. Okay, on the lines of printing, let's say if you have to print a variable or a string which has a double quote inside, let's say you have to print this. right? Now this string already has double quotes inside. How do you print this? Simply can use single quotes to print it. So use single quotes to say that my string is starting like this, and the double quotes now will be treated as part of the string. So hit shift enter. See, the double quotes are treated as part of the string. Let's say you have single quote in your string. We are going to Ravi's home after class. Cool. Now this has a single quote in the string already. So what you can do is print, use double quotes. So if there is a single quote in the class, you can use double quotes to print. If there are double quotes in your string that you have to print, you can use vice versa. Correct? Now let's say if there are both single and double quotes in the string, then what you do? You can use something as triple quote. Now in this triple quote again, give the same string, shift enter, and you get the output. So these are the three different ways in which you can print your string depending on what is the output. And let me quickly change this, give you the proper technical term, that is dynamically typed language. So whatever value you assign to the variable, it dynamically, while executing, creates a variable of that type. Okay? And as you can see, as we are progressing through the notebook, the in and out number of cells are automatically increasing. Correct? So as many times you execute a particular cell, this in and out count will increase. So this is the 24th cell. If I execute it again, it will become 25. If I execute it one more time, it will become 26. Nothing of much relevance, but don't get bothered if you don't see the numbers in sequence, because every time you run it, it will increment the number of the input cell by 1. Alright, and the simple rules hold that the names are case sensitive, variable names are case sensitive. So your marks is different from marks. Two different things, right? Because this is capital M, this is small m. So variables are case sensitive and can start with letter, can start with number, can have underscore, letter, number, underscore. Let me just write it down for you. Variable names can have letters, numbers, and underscores, right? And the another thing, variable names can start with only letters and underscore. Okay, two simple variable naming rules, and remember that they are case sensitive. Okay, cool. So let me, before I move further, take a look at the chat if there are any unanswered questions in there, although Ashokan is there to answer your doubts. Why division appears in the form of float? That's Prakash, whenever you divide, I think, yeah, Ashokan has already said the same thing. Whenever you do a division in real-time situation, the division gives you the floating point number. So Python is pretty much similar to what operations or the way you do operations in real-time situations. So for that, they have made the simple division operator will give you floating point. If you want the quotient, you can get it with one operator. If you want the remainder, you can get it with the other operator. Precedence of operators is same, like apply the simple BODMAS rule, bracket of division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. The simple rule that we have seen since ages apply here. How to clear the screen? Mahmood, if you want to clear the screen, you will have to clear it off cell by cell. So there's no clearing the screen, there's deleting the cell. Like if you do something wrong here and execute it and you're getting an error, just click on it, click on the cell and delete the cell. Okay? But once you're progressing through, you wouldn't want to delete your whole sheet in one go, right? So any cell, any particular cell that you don't need, just click on it and delete it. And remember, if you are doing any changes in any variable, let's say in the cell number 21 and you are using it in the cell number 23, you have to execute the cells from 21 to 23 again to reflect the value change in 23. So let's say if I say marks 85 here, right? But I haven't executed this again after giving this. Now if I print it in this cell, I say print marks. This will give me an error. What is the error? Pretty simple to comprehend. Name error. It could not identify what name is this. Name marks is not defined. Why? Because I wrote marks here but I haven't executed this cell. Now to reflect this change down in the cell number 29, I have to re-execute the particular cell. So you re-execute it, come down, execute it again, and then it is printed. So remember, if you are using multiple cells as part of the program or whatever practice that you are doing, if you make a change in any variable value in the upper cell, make sure that you execute it and then come down and re-execute. Okay? How to print string with single quote? Vikram, use double quotes to print a string with single quote. Why not always triple quote? Good idea. You can always go for triple quote, but it's generally we are out of practice to use triple quotes. But if you can make it a practice, it's a good go ahead. All right. Thank you for joining, Ravi. All right. What else? In third print example with it has only one quote, but how it is printed without ending quote. I couldn't Satya, if you could reiterate your question, please. All right. Okay, Veera is asking Java Beginner Series, ma'am. Java Beginner Series is being updated on the channel, Veera. So you can subscribe to the channel for updates on that. Whenever the next video be uploaded, you will get a notification. Can variable name have more number of length? It can have any number of length, but one thing I would want to say right at this point is, since there is no, you're not defining any type to the variable, make sure that whatever variable names you give, they clearly reflect the value that you are trying to store in them. Because later, when the programs get complex and there is no name to the variable, if you give names like A, B, C, D, it gets very difficult to identify B is what and C is what and D is what. So make sure that you give relevant names that reflect the value that is stored inside these variables, and of course they can be as long as you want them to be. Is Python always in the form of cells? Satya, Python is not in the form of cells. Python is what is going on inside the cell. This is Python. The cell has got nothing to do with Python. The cell, this cell that we are talking about, cell number 22, is part of this IDE. Like let's say you run a program in Eclipse, right? In Eclipse you get a plain window at the center where you write the code. At the left you get the Explorer window to see what all is going on, and then when you run, the output comes at the bottom, right? Simple IDE. Similarly, this is an IDE where you run in these cells. So you write the code inside a cell, execute it, get the output right under the cell. Okay? So the cell has got nothing to do with the language Python. It's the IDE that we are using that has the cells. Java matrices program for interview. Only 2 program in the playlist. Sorry, I lost that. Only 2 program in the playlist. Please update it. Okay, Veera, noted. We'll update that. Cool. So now that we have seen arithmetic operators, let me quickly, variables we have seen the Zen of Python document. We saw that the language is dynamically typed. All right. Now all that done, let's move on to the next, relational operators. Okay. So what do we do with relational operators? Let's take 2 variables. Let's say a is equals to 10. Now I'm doing this a is equals to 10 just for the sake of quick explanation. Make sure that you use good variable names. And say b is equals to 5. So relational operators help you check the relation between these 2 things, right? How do you do that? What are the relational operators? Let's say a double equals to b. Now relational operators will return you the value true or false depending on whether the operation is true or false. So if a double equals to b results in true, it will give you true, else it will give you false. Similarly, we have a not equal to b. This will check. If a is not equal to b, it will give you true. If a is equal to b, it will give you false. So what is the output of this cell for the 2 values of a and b that I have given in cell number 32? Satya rephrased his question again. In string we have single quote, but it was start and ending with triple quote. Okay, so in the middle of the string value it has single quote. Python doesn't check the start and ending quote. So Satya, in this case we have used triple quotes to mark the start and the end of the string, right? So if there is a single quote in the middle of it, or let's say if there is a double quote also in the middle of it, it will treat both single quote and double quote as part of the string itself, because the delimiter that is marking the start and end of the string is this triple quote. Okay, so either there be a single quote inside or there be a double quote inside, it is treated as a simple plain text and part of the string. False, true, false, true, false, true. All right, cool. False and true. Cool. Let me quickly write the rest of them. We can check if a is greater than b. We can check if a is less than b. We can check if a is greater than equal to b. We can check if a is less than equal to b. All right, and all these relational operators will give you true false outputs. Cool. Let me just quickly add a cell here, give you a marking that this is a, here on we begin, relational operators. All right, cool. So that was about relational operators. Next up in the list is logical operators. Cool. So as you can see, the execution of this is fairly simple. Mark it markdown, shift enter, comes as a plain text, doesn't execute it like a code and then bugs you with the errors, right? Cool. So for logical operators, again these same rules apply: a greater than b, a less than b, b less than c, etc., etc. Or there's one more thing that I want to add on to that. you can also check not b greater than a. Okay, so you add not in front of it, it will do the opposite of the operation that comes out, the result that comes out as of b greater than a, right? So b greater than a, which is false, but since we put a not in front of it, we get a true. If I change it to a greater than b, the operation is true. This operation will result into true, but since we have added a not in front of it, the output now will become false. All right. So far so good, right? And these operators, once we move on to other sort of so this was all what we did, was numbers, operators, how to create variables. We saw how to add comments, different ways in which we can print something on the screen, right? Now slowly we'll move down to other things like strings, tuples, dictionaries. We'll see how we perform operations on them, what additional operations are there that can be performed on different sort of strings or literals that we have in Python. All right, Rahul, session started at 6 and session will be there at 6 every day, every Monday from today. Okay, so today was the first session where we discussed simple operators and variables, and next session also I'll try to just start off with the blank notebook and just walk you through down with how to write a comment, how to write a markdown, so that it's easier for you to understand the basic functioning of this notebook. Maybe after that I'll come up with the pre-created notebook with some code for you to actually debug and get involved with. So try and make sure that you have your systems by your side so that you can simultaneously, along with me, keep typing, keep practicing, throw questions, whatever error you are getting, so that it's much more fun and interactive and easy learning session for you guys. All right, what else? Why do you prefer Jupyter? Simply because two reasons. One, it is fairly easy to see the output of your code right there in front of your eyes, right? Now if you see simple command prompt, again the same thing will happen. You write your one line of code, you get the output. But in the command prompt, if you have multiple lines and lines of code, you have to write a file somewhere else and then run it, and then if you have to make some changes, go back to the file, make some changes, come back to command prompt, run it. But in notebooks like this, you can have multiple lines of code in a cell, execute it right there, edit it right there, get to see the output right there. And also along with that, if you are practicing, let's say you are making your own notes, you can do that simultaneously right here like I just did today. So if you are learning Python, you're new to Python, just add your learning notes or reading notes or whatever points you want to remember later when you open that notebook again. It's so easy to refer to whatever you have right there. You don't have to keep a separate notebook or separate document in your laptop or separate notebook with you where you're writing down your notes, right? So it's everything in one place, and that is the reason why I am trying to use Jupyter notebooks in these sessions and trying to get you accustomed with working with Jupyter notebooks, because it makes life very simple. All right, can you take sessions every day? I feel that right now you're feeling I should be taking sessions every day, but once we jump on to more intense topics, you would want some time break to practice it on your own. So for now, let's keep it at every Monday. Let's see if you guys feel like you can keep up with the pace. We'll do it maybe twice a week. What is my opinion about MCAT? It's an exam, go give it, get good scores and then get placed. That's my opinion about MCAT. Okay, can we use ternary operators in Python? That is answered. No. Learning Python in PyCharm. Is it okay, ma'am? That's totally okay if you're learning Python in PyCharm. It's just ID. Python is like bytecode conversion. That is answered. Yes, it does bytecode conversion. Alright, so on that note, I'll end the session for today, and I'll see you next Monday at the same time, 6 o'clock on this channel. So don't forget to subscribe to get all the updates, and we'll meet you in the next session. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Bye bye and have a good day.